Hey, welcome to Fire Talk, where we take a look around at what's happening in the world of Southeastern University athletics. I'm your host, Ken Ingle, president of Southeastern University, and joining me as my co-host as director of athletics, Drew Watson. Welcome, Drew.
Good to see you, Dr. Ingle. Good to be back with you. Lots happening this semester. One thing that you're well aware of is we just announced our new bass fishing team,
Yes,
and we've got
20th sport.
20th sport. So we've reached kind of a milestone here. And having Weston Marsh as our first coach, he's hit the ground running or swimming or boating and
Yes.
working on that first recruiting class for next fall. So we're excited about that. And in fact, I like to bring a prop.
Ah, yeah.
So we've got a fire fishing hat
Wow, that's
for
awesome.
the president here. So enjoy that.
Should I wear it? I'll go ahead and wear it for.
I think you should
I
wear
don't
it.
think I can with my my headphones on, but I'll set it right here.
All right, there you go.
And are these available yet?
They are not. They're an exclusive.
Wow.
So there you go. You might see that for a very high price someday.
And I heard already we have a lot of people calling in, writing in. How do I apply? I want to come and fish for Southeastern.
Yeah,
So,
and that's that happened with football.
yeah.
When we announced football, I think we had 650 emails within a day. And so, Southeastern's a destination and people want to be here. A lot of great things happening here.
Right.
So bass fishing is no different.
Yep. And is it only bass they can fish for, or can they fish for other as well?
It depends on the tournament.
Okay,
Depends on
all
what
right.
they're fishing for. I believe a lot of these, many if not all these tournaments we're going to be in are going to be bass.
Okay.
So the way it works, and I've had to be educated in this world. I'm not in the fishing world, but we go out with our teams of two.
Yep.
And there's a sermon in there somewhere, right?
Yeah, that's
Sending
right.
people
That's right.
out
That too.
So they go out and they fish, and they keep their top 5 fish, and then they have a weigh-in at the end, and whoever has the most pounds of fish wins the tournament.
Wow.
That's a simplistic way to put it, but that's
Okay.
how I understand it.
Well, we have plenty of lakes around here. So,
We do.
So we'll have plenty of bass to hopefully catch.
Yeah.
So looking forward to this program. Now, we're going to talk a lot about what's going on in spring sports and things that are happening here in just a minute on Fire Talk. But we got a big Sunday coming up here. And, I got to hear from you on this because you have a vested interest in this Super Bowl because you were raised in Pennsylvania, and I think that Philadelphia team might be a team you've been supporting for a while.
Yeah, since birth, I believe.
Okay, so big Super Bowl Sunday, and I got to ask you, who do you have winning? Now, come on, you got to be real. You're an athletic director. You can analyze both teams. I mean, I don't know. Kansas City's pretty tough, so be real.
Okay, so growing up in Philadelphia, you're used to your team letting you down.
Sure.
Okay, so Philadelphia fans typically take a very pessimistic attitude towards any big event. Oh, it's great to be there, but we're not going to win.
Yeah,
But there's a lot of optimism in Philadelphia about this team. I think a lot of it is how the regular season went, how Jalen Hurts is playing, the wide receivers, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Just on the defensive side, very solid. We're healthy. All 22 starters are healthy and going to play. I know Kansas City is a little banged up, especially at the wide receiver core. So I think objectively, I can say that the Eagles have a very good shot in this game.
Yeah.
I'm more encouraged, more optimistic going into this one than I was against the Patriots 5 years ago. But hopefully, come Sunday night, we'll be Super Bowl champs again.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, it should be a good game. The Chiefs, I mean, what is this? Their 4th trip in 5 years to the Super Bowl, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Pretty close there. So we'll see what happens, but it's definitely going to be a fun game. And
now you were at one point a Denver Bronco fan.
I was, and yeah, I've always loved Denver, and but I'm a Ram fan too, and yeah, so I just kind of root for.
Now, hold on a second. Back in Philadelphia, we would call we had there's a certain category that would be a bandwagon fan.
Yeah, and I could see how you would think that, but I don't know. I mean, I don't go beyond those two teams, really.
Okay, that's good.
So I kind of acted like I supported the Seahawks because I did live in Seattle. And the Seahawks actually, their practice field was on our campus. So I saw them practice every day, actually. So, but, I've always been kind of Bronco Ram fan. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Bounce back coming next year for both those teams.
Exactly. I hope. We'll see what happens there. But anyway, well, let's talk a little bit about Fire baseball. Our baseball team is rated number 1 right now in the nation. Correct? Mm-hmm. That hasn't changed.
Nope.
They've started out. I think they're actually on a hot streak, winning the last 4 games in a row. I think, or maybe 5, right?
4. Well, 4? Because first 4 games of the year we've won here.
Okay,
so.
First 4 games.
Yep.
Okay. 2 games that stand out from the others is a win against Benedictine Mesa after an 11-inning game. And here's the deal. Fire baseball does this all the time. They win in late innings. And I was looking at the score of that game, and it was 8-1.
It was
Benedictine, and I'm thinking, well, here's our first loss, and that was in the eighth inning. And then later, I checked the score, and the Fire win 9-8 with a walk-off win,
Yes.
And that was a huge win. And then, of course, they beat number 2 ranked Lewis Clark State, who they played in the World Series.
Yes, that was a championship game.
The championship game, they beat them 8-3. So they know how to win. And I'll have to throw in there, they beat my alma mater on Saturday as well. Vanguard University was on campus here. And, good game. That was 11-1.
10-run ruled them. Game ended early.
Game early. Yeah, that's right. They wanted to play a little longer, but I don't think it would have mattered. So.
I don't think so either. We had it going that day. But it's funny you mentioned that. Really, all last year, that we'd be down early innings, 5-1, 6-1, and like clockwork, 6th, 7th, 8th inning, we start to chip away and came away with a lot of wins. Of course, we only lost 4 times last year. Amazing season, 59-4. But, that game against Benedictine Mesa, you mentioned it was 8-1. We start the bottom of the 8th inning down 7 runs, score 6 in that inning, 1 in the 9th to send it to extra frames, and then win it on a walk-off, as you said. But the remarkable thing about that is the crowd was dead. Okay, and I have to shout out the softball team. The softball team left the men's basketball game to go to the baseball game where they fired up the crowd and were boisterous. We scored 6 about the time they got there.
Wow.
And but what I said to the team was, sure, you go out to baseball, help them win, but you left the gym. The men's basketball team happened to fall that night to Warner. So they've got to they should spread their energy around, maybe support all teams, not just one.
Well, fan support makes all the difference. So,
for sure.
We need to make sure our Fire fans come out for those games so they can help them win. Actually, baseball has 2 games coming up this week, and they're playing this Friday against Baker University and Loyola University.
Correct. They are on the road.
And also 2 games on Sunday versus Central Methodist and Louisiana Christian. But
yes,
they're looking good. So
they are. Exciting season ahead of us. But I mentioned softball. Softball has their opener this Saturday at home.
Okay.
They host Bryan College from Chattanooga, Tennessee, or Dayton, Tennessee, to be technical. Really good team. I mean, they finished within a whisker of the national championship last year up in Columbus, Georgia, and they enter the season as a 4th-ranked team in the nation.
Wow.
So a lot of, and they've got a lot of new faces on that team, but really look tough. They're a very well-balanced team, good pitching, good hitting, great defense. So looking forward to seeing them take the field on Saturday.
Yeah, no, that'll be great. I want to talk a little about tennis and golf. Our tennis team had a huge win against Embry-Riddle this last week, a Division II NCAA-ranked team. Not just that, but we beat them for the first time in program history. That was huge. And then golf, our Fire golf team placed 6th at the Titan Winter Invitational in Melbourne with Matthew Soshanik. Am I saying his name right?
Susanek.
Susanek.
Yep.
Placed 7 overall, which is very good. So, but both teams, man, doing well.
Yeah, the thing about tennis and golf is they play off campus. So they're kind of become an afterthought sometimes in people's minds. Basketball's here, baseball's here, soccer, but these teams are very good. The women's team, competed. They won the Sun Conference last year, women's golf, and the tennis teams. Watch out for tennis.
Yeah.
Especially on the men's side. The men are stacked. They've got a a lineup that is last year's top players, number 1, number 2, are now playing 3 and 4, roughly.
Yeah.
So you've got people who were on the top of the flight playing lower, which means we've gotten better players at number 1 and 2. And just, I mean, this is a team that has a chance to do some really special things and is a very tight group. Very family, very tight. The guys are close knit, very supportive of each other. I was out at a match last Saturday. They were playing over at Bierman Tennis Facility. If you have not been out to Bierman to see the tennis teams play, man, get out there. There's a lot of energy around these teams. Yeah,
that's great. And a lot of our teams, I mean, when you look at them, we have a lot of, they're ranked high in the NAIA, and 5 are in the top 10 nationally, with 2 in the top 5 with wrestling and men's golf. So yeah, that's it's exciting to see where our fire teams are ranked.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned it as we go, right? I mean, we already said the softball's ranking, baseball's ranking. You mentioned wrestling at 3rd, men's golf at 12th, women's golf at 8th, men's tennis 9th, women's tennis 12th. And so this is a very busy time of year, but it's a time of year that's very exciting for us as well.
Yeah. Our wrestling team had an unbelievable win against Bruton Parker with a blowout of 50-0.
50-0.
And that was coming after a loss against number 2 ranked Life University. Those are always fun matches to watch, let me tell you.
Well, you were introduced to wrestling when we started 6 years ago.
Yes.
It is a unique sport. Very obviously, those guys are warriors. I mean, it's one sport where, we have a colleague, Dr. Owen, whose son was playing baseball as a youngster, and walked off the field one day and kind of threw his glove down. I'm done with this sport. I don't want to play a sport where other people can lose the game for me.
Yeah.
So then he went to wrestling, and wrestling's
full
all
control.
on you.
Yep,
it's all
that's
on
right.
you. How do you like being you go to wrestling matches as you can, but quite often, do you like the atmosphere over there?
Oh yeah, we have a great game atmosphere, and if you haven't been, what do we call our wrestling center?
The Fire Pit.
The Fire Pit. Okay, unbelievable. And of course, we modeled it after Cornell University, which is one of the top ranked wrestling colleges in the nation. So it's an incredible venue and a lot of excitement and a lot of energy. So I would encourage you. I love going out and watching the matches. And we got a big one coming up this Friday night, right? It's the last one, senior night. So last home wrestling match. So if you haven't been to one, you've got to come out to the Fire Pit and make sure that you enjoy the great atmosphere, because it is a lot of energy and fun.
It is.
Our men's basketball team has won 5 out of their last 6 games.
They have.
And including a big win against Weber University. This was a pretty close game, tied up at 47 with, about 9.5 minutes left. Team put up a 6-0 defensive run, changing the game. And then with less than a couple of minutes left in the game, Jalen Mole put up a 3-pointer to give, a 7-point lead, I think.
Yep.
And Mole into the game as the second leader with 19.6 rebounds. The lead scorer was our own Riley Minix with a double-double with 25 points, 16 rebounds. One of the greatest feats of our Fire team is that we scored a perfect 100% from the free-point line. And I want to tell you, I have not seen that ever since I've been here as president. So what was the deal with that?
Well, it's a good that's a good game. Obviously, the team has been struggling a little bit offensively. They've been winning some games on their defensive effort, which has been spectacular all year. They're a very good defensive team, but they're a good shooting team too. But it's shooting is something that comes and goes, as you know. So I think some of the chemistry is starting to come, start to turn in the right way for this team at the right time of the year.
Right.
Tonight we host St. Thomas, and the winner of that game on the men's side is in first place in the driver's seat.
So tonight's big game, conference championship on the line, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, do we host? Will Southeastern host if they win the championship?
The conference tournament goes to the number 1 seed.
Okay.
So, yes.
Yeah, we'll definitely host. Well, big game tonight. Anxious to be there. Well, hey, that's all we have for today, but we want you to start tuning in on Fire Talk. We're going to be having guests, highlights of our games. It's going to be a a great podcast, and we encourage our Fire fans to be a part of it. Drew, I'm happy and honored to be doing this with you. Glad we get to share and talk about the excitement that's happening around our world of athletics here at Southeastern. And as we close out today, I want to say thank you for listening. Hopefully you guys can go out to support us at all of our upcoming home games. Those games can be found on fire.seu.edu. You can find the calendar for when and where future games happen with all of our sports when you land on that page. But we're excited about what's happening with Fire Athletics. Thank you for joining us today. Go Fire, and have a great day. Take care, everybody.